Hey y'all, this is Marley K. I have something that I want to talk about, and it is a subject that is near and dear to my heart because I am a product of one of these people. And it's about bitter baby mamas. I'm going to play a video for you, and then we're going to have a little discussion about it. Listen to this. I don't know if you're going to be able to see the whole thing when I open it up because it's a short, but I just want to play it for you.
My father, nowhere to be found. You know why he was nowhere to be found? Because I just got a relationship with him a few months ago. Because my mom told me my dad wasn't to keep me away from my dad. I'm 26, bro. I'm 26. My mom kept me away from my dad for 26 years. You know what kept me away from him? My mom told me that my dad said I was a mistake and kept me away from my father. Every time this been looking for me since I was a kid.
Yeah.
He's been looking for me. Can you imagine all the kids out there who got a fucking ass mom telling them their daddy ain't, but the daddy looking for them? I finally talked to my dad. He's a good dude. My mom told me my dad has not paid child support since I was a kid. I finally meet this. He has envelopes full of fucking shit proof showing he's been paying child support. He told me, he said, your mom is a lying, manipulative. I have not talked to my mom in months. You know why? My mom called me. My father, nowhere to be found. You know why he was nowhere to be?
So the title of this YouTube short is called Bitter Baby Mama Hides Kids from Father for 26 Years. I can relate to this because I was a product of a bitter baby mama, in part because my mother decided that she was going to leave my father for somebody else and take everything out of the house that he had purchased. My parents got married and had children when they were young. They were in their 20s. And I was like 5 or 6 when my parents got divorced or separated. But my mom was having an affair. And just to show you how long ago this is and how vividly I remember this, I'm 51 now. And so I remember being a child and my mom used to have this man come to our house and pick us up because at the time my mom didn't drive. My dad worked 2 jobs. He worked at the mill and he drove trucks in the daytime. He would come home and take us to school in the morning. I'm the oldest of my siblings. And so I just have vivid memories of my dad taking care of us. I remember my dad cooking for us. We had a big old house. I mean, it had everything. I had a piano. We had floor model TVs. This was back in the 70s. So we was living good. My daddy took really good care of us. And for whatever reason, my mom wasn't content with that. She decided she was going to have an affair with a man who was married and leave my father while he was at work and pack up the house and take all the furniture and everything, take us and not tell him nothing. And somebody told my dad that we were moving. Some neighbor or somebody saw him and he came home and caught my mom moving. And to say it didn't end well is an understatement. I would just leave it at that. It was some domestic violence. And that was the end of my parents' marriage. But it was also the end of me having my dad in my life until I was an adult and able to have a relationship with him myself. And so we spent years without seeing my dad. My dad went to jail. He had to go to court. They got divorced. He was forced to pay child support. He like literally lost everything. When they divorced, the only thing the court awarded him was pictures of us, of his children. He didn't get any furniture. He didn't get anything out of the house he had worked hard for. They gave my mom everything because she had 3 children. And again, I was the oldest, so I probably was 6. I remember I was in kindergarten or first grade. So I had to be 6, maybe 7 tops. Not only that, my dad had to pay child support for a child that would eventually be discovered that was not his child. The last child that was born was a product of the affair that my mom was having. So not only did my dad have to pay child support for 3 kids, he paid for one that was not his. And he lost everything. He was homeless. He had to move back in with his mother. He, drove trucks and lived in his trucks. Like, he just went through a lot of stuff the whole time because of my mom's actions. And on top of that, she kept us from him. We were supposed to have court ordered child support. With the court ordered child support, we were supposed to have visitation. And I don't remember what the visitation order was. I just know whenever it was time for us to go see my dad, she didn't let us go see him. And she tried to tell us the same thing, like this man in this video was saying that, his mom told him that dad didn't care, dad didn't want him, he didn't pay child support. My mom, tried to do the same thing, and my dad was like, I pay child support. He's like, I'm homeless because I pay child support, so much child support, I can't afford to live. And in addition to that, she kept dragging him back and forth to court. Like, she would stalk him and find out if he got a job. If the job paid more money, she wanted to go back into court, get more money. So, all the while she was doing all this evil stuff, just being evil, in addition to keeping him from seeing us. And my dad used to, he would find out where we lived somehow. I don't know how he would do it, but he knew what schools we went to. And my dad would ride around. He knew that we walked back and forth to school. And he would ride around and catch us either coming from school or going to school. And just, try to have a relationship with us. Let us know that he was looking for us. Let us know that he wanted to see us. I never, ever, ever forgot that. And I always promised, when I got big enough to have a relationship with my dad, that I would have one. And so now that I'm an adult, and again, I'm 50, I have a relationship with my dad. I don't have a relationship with my mom because I felt the same way that this young man did in this video. When I became an adult, my dad pulled out an entire box of court documents, of receipts, of all the times he had been to court, of all the money he had paid. And, he talks about it, and he was so hurt. And, just like this man in this video, like, my dad is a good dude. He's not perfect, but, he's been married for 40 years. My mom, she remarried to the no good man that she was cheating with, and he ended up cheating on her, of course, ended up getting divorced. But this man abused us physically, he abused us emotionally, mentally, sexually, and all because she wanted to be with this man. I was deprived of being with my dad. My dad he's been a good man, to his second wife. Like I said, he's not been perfect, but when it comes to taking care of family, because he couldn't take care of his kids, he took care of his nieces and nephews. He was always supportive, just did, all kinds of things for everybody, took care of his mom. Like, he did things for other people that he should have been able to do for his kids, but couldn't, because my mother was a bitter baby mama. And she was bitter, one, because my dad moved on with his life and got remarried. And, I'll just tell you a bitter baby mama story. My mom sent the police to the church on the day of my dad's wedding to arrest him or serve him with papers to go to court. Like, she was just evil and deviant. And he told me about that. Like, we didn't get to go to either one of my parents' wedding when they got remarried. Just all kinds of unnecessary hell. Like, I have so many horrific childhood memories of us being deprived from being with my dad, but memories also of the stuff that my mom used to say about my dad. And, when my dad, when we got old enough for us to have a relationship with our dad separate from my mom, like he would just tell us all the stuff that my mom would do. And like we would just floor at how evil she was. And, I was old enough to know that she would not allow us to have a relationship with him, because on our weekends that we were supposed to go, she would make us put on our clothes and get ready to go. And we would be sitting right to the, next to the door. We would be ready to go and be with my dad. And my aunts would come to the house to pick us up because my dad, I guess, had a no contact order. He could not come to the house and he couldn't come pick us up. So his sisters had to come pick us up. And they would come and it never fail. Every time they would come, my mom would be like, oh no, they can't go today. Now she wouldn't call them and tell them, I'm not going to let them come today. She would let them come and make us sit next to the door. And we would hear her lie and make up some excuse why we couldn't go. But all the while, she made us get up, put on clothes, and sit next to the door and wait for our aunts to come pick us up, to only to tell them that we couldn't go. And, you know, I was just like, this woman is crazy. And I don't know, I always been a little rebel, even when I was little. So I was just like, when I get big, I'm leaving. I ain't never coming back. When I get big, I'm never living with this woman anymore. When I get big, I'm just gonna do all these things. And so this anger and vitriol that this young man has describing his mom and how she kept him from his father, I can relate to that. Like I felt that in my spirit. So and people try to make a big deal out of it because it's men having this conversation, but I wanted to add to it because I am a woman and a woman did this to me, and she was bitter. She alleges that she went through some abuse and so on and so forth, and she wasn't raised by her dad, so she did what was done to her. And I was like, this is insane. I'm not repeating this cycle. I didn't know this at the time that that's how she was raised. But there's no way on God's green earth I was going to raise my kids like that. And so, um, a bitter baby mama is the closest thing to hell a child can have, because that mama deprives that child from that precious time and mentoring and motivation and love, just whatever that father can impart. Even if it's a bad daddy can impart some good stuff into their children. And no woman should have the right to deprive a child of being with their father. And too many times these courts side with women, give them all this power, give them money, child support, alimony, give them everything that men have worked hard for. And I know personally, my mom did not work. She did not work until she got ready to leave my dad. But in the beginning, my dad was old fashioned. My mom did not have to work. My dad worked 2 jobs. All my mom had to do was stay home and take care of kids and take care of the house. And she didn't want to do that. She wanted to go out in the street and be a thought. So because she was young and immature, had emotional issues and was bitter, or whatever her issues were, she ruined our lives. She ruined my dad's life. And she don't have no remorse about it. She ain't apologized to nobody yet. She's 70 years old. She's still holding on, like she is innocent. I don't have a relationship with her. My brother and sister do, but I don't have a relationship with her because I know what she did. I know what she said. I was old enough and intelligent enough to process what she was doing and understood it wasn't right. And I have looked at the court documents. Like, I just cannot imagine. I could never imagine being so bitter and so angry and putting anybody through that. And I've been through divorce. I didn't have any children with my husband. But I just could never, ever, ever, ever imagine being that type of woman. And so, these women there are these bitter baby mamas. Like, you never know you got a bitter baby mama until you had a baby, until it's time to split up. But I would say to men, like, y'all really need to pay attention to how these women grow up, how, ask questions before you start making kids with women. Y'all, you need to know stuff about these sisters, because there's some messed up women in this world. And like I said, my mom was in her 20s. My mom and dad were high school sweethearts. They got married out of high school. And, I'll say within 23, 24, 25 years old, they were divorced. So my dad was going through this stuff in his 20s, in the 70s. Today, men are still going through the same thing. Women still have the same type of power, and there's no accountability. Like, nobody is holding women accountable for their emotional and mental neglect of their children, for misspending child support money, for lying to their children, for denying access to children. The courts don't force women to make sure children adhere to child visitation orders. Like, nothing. Like, they just make the order, and then the men are so often so broke and can't afford legal representation. They don't have any recourse. If you go to the house and try to show out, then you got to deal with the police coming and arresting you, and then that's something else that you got to deal with that you can't afford. So, like, there is no recourse for men dealing with bitter baby mamas. It is so unfair, and I know I'm going to be one of the dissenting voices of women, this believe all women and men should do ABCD. I don't believe in that shit. I believe that people should take care of their children. If y'all decide to divorce, y'all should be able to come up with a plan amicably and present it to the court. If the woman is not handicapped or special needs, she should be able to work and take care of her children. Men should not be held to this standard where they got to be poor and destitute and can't, restart their lives because this country has a system that hates men, and it's set on making men the back of its court system, its family court system. Just think about how much money the court system makes from child support and from filing court orders and papers, and just, having to have legal representation to even go before the court. Just all of that stuff keeps the system going. Family court system, the legal system thrives off of the family court system. Think about all the people who make money from other people's misery. It is so unfair. And we don't talk enough about the good men who pick bad women, evil women who do this type of thing, and then they are never punished. My mom has never been punished for lying about child support, for dragging my dad back and forth to court unnecessarily, for lying about who my youngest siblings' birth father were, her biological father. She's never had to pay back any money to my dad. Like, she owes my dad thousands of dollars, thousands. Think any court has ever held her responsible? Nope, nothing. My dad hadn't even, tried to go back to court to sue her or nothing. He just carries the hurt and talks about it, and just like, I don't like your mama. And that's the nicest thing he could say. He could say a whole lot of things, but he'll tell me your mama ain't no good, your grandmama ain't no good. He makes it a point to tell me about the women in my family that ain't no good, but he also knows that I'm not like them. And we have had numerous conversations just about how evil women are. I can relate to this bitter baby mama video so much. And, my heart goes out to this young man. I feel it. I have experienced what he's experienced. And even at 51, I still can remember vividly all the lies, all the withholding of affection. I can remember all the efforts my dad made. I can remember, going to his house and him not having lights because he couldn't afford electricity. He could just afford a roof over his head. I can remember getting drinks out of the cooler because he didn't have a refrigerator in his house and he had to use ice and put drinks in his cooler. Like he put water in the bathtub and opened the blinds up so the water could be warm when he needed to take a bath. I have so many vivid memories of the hardships that my father encountered because my mom was evil. And I just want to say to women, if y'all are bitter baby mamas, let me tell you something. That shit is coming back to bite you in your ass. You can be bitter and hateful and withhold your children today and run these men through the ringer and use the court system against them, but you're going to get old and your children not going to like you. The day is coming where your child is going to want to have a relationship with the father. And that father is going to tell that child and provide proof that you are a liar. That child is going to see that you withheld them from having a relationship with their not only their biological father, but their fraternal family. People are developing relationships with family members and things. That child for 26 years was not able to have a relationship with family. Same for me. When it comes to my dad's side of the family, I'm not as close with them. As a matter of fact, I'm not close with either side of my family because my mom's side was dysfunctional and she didn't fool up with them. And then my stepdad's side was dysfunctional, and not only dysfunctional, but because of the nature of or the way that they came together, we didn't have a good relationship. We was just like inserted into a hot mess. And then with my dad's side of the family, they didn't like my mom because she would put their brother through so much trouble. So in turn, they had their lives went on. They had events, they had gatherings, they celebrated accomplishments and did things. We were excluded from that. And so now when they have events and stuff, it's like we are the black sheep of the family, of my fraternal family, because we don't fit in, because we weren't around, because of the things that my mom did. And so, I just want to say to bitter baby mamas, y'all heifers gonna get old. Y'all children are not going to take care of you. Y'all children are not going to like you. So all that hate and anger you are directing at your children's father or plural fathers, you're going to get that back, and you are going to get it back double and triple. When you want to have a relationship with some people, you're not going to be able to have a relationship with the people that came out of your behind because you've been so evil. Holidays are going to come, everybody else gathering. Guess what? Your children not going to want to fuck with you. And I'm telling you from personal experience because I'm that child. I do not fool up with my mama. I don't even really like holidays. I don't celebrate holidays, in part because of the paganistic rituals that, they're all surrounded by something pagan. But not only that, because I don't have good family relations. So when people are gathering, typically I just gather with my own children. So now me and my kids, we do our own thing, and I let them do whatever they want to do. I don't force them to be around me. I let them, they got their own families now, so I let them do what they do, and it works for everybody. But I wasn't big on family because my family situation was screwed up. And when you do this to children, they tend to not want to be around you. At some point, your kids learn about who you are if you're that bitter baby mama. They learn that you are crazy. They learn that you're not right. They learn how you deprived them from good times with their dad, even in struggle. Like I just appreciate knowing that my dad struggled, but he made it. And so now my dad, you know, he had to start over, but his house, he owns a house, his house is paid for. He's been in business for himself for, you know, a couple decades. He figured out a way to make it, but not because my mama was any help to him. He had a good wife. He had family, his fraternal family. He had friends, and he had perseverance. And so, bitter baby mamas, I don't care, you know, what you think is cute today. It's not going to be cute later on. You're going to get old. You're going to have life circumstances happen to you, and you are going to find yourself alone because your children are not going to want to deal with you. The truth is going to come out. And for men who may be listening to this, y'all brothers, keep your head up. Like, there are men who have made it, but it's a struggle. You know, the only thing you can do is try to have a relationship with your children. And I know some of these witches make it damn near impossible. They keep your name off the stuff at school, so you can't go to the school. They don't let you know about sporting events. Like, they use every opportunity to control that child, and however they can to be evil and keep you away. They do that. But guess what? Your child is going to grow up one day. Your child going to turn 18. Your child going to come look for you. Be the type of person who made an effort. Try. Let your child know that you tried. I don't care if you got to use a family member. Do something so that your child will know, I did not just sit back and allow your mama to be evil and keep me away from you. I know it's going to be a headache. I know that, you know, it's stressful, it's causing anxiety, it's unnecessary, you know, activity that you have to do in your life. But I could tell you one thing. I remember all the times that my dad tried. I remember all the times that my aunts tried. Not every time, but I remember the effort. And so now I can sit here today and tell you about the things that my dad did. And it helped me understand that I had an evil baby mama. My mama was bitter. She's one of these women that this man is talking about in this video. But I also know that my dad didn't give up. And so when you don't try, your children believe that you give up. You've given up. I don't care if it's nothing but a letter. I don't care if it's nothing but a car. I don't care if you have to go to somebody's house and deliver something and take it, if it's clothes or whatever. Even if you pay child support, if you have a little extra, do something extra. If you take something to the school, you know, if you can, if your children walk to school like my dad used to do, he used to walk to school. And my dad would find us walking on one of the little side streets. He would drive up and down the streets. I don't know if you can do that today without people thinking you're a stalker, but back in the day, my dad used to, and he used to drive a race car. So he had a very distinct car that was very loud. So everybody knew who it was. And he would bring clothes and shoes, and we would have to try to hide the stuff, and we couldn't wear it because if we did, she would know, like, she didn't buy it. But it was just the thought that counted. It was the thought that my dad would take the time to go someplace and buy something and give it to us, so that we knew he was thinking about us, so that we knew he cared. He knew that my mama was evil, but he was going to make sure that we knew he cared. And so now when we have those conversations and I can verbalize what he did, it makes him feel good. And he's in his 70s, but he understands that, you know, I know that he tried. Now, you know, I can't say that your children are going to be emotionally intelligent like I was to be able to process, you know, what I was experiencing, because today's children is a little special. But don't give up. It's hard. You know, if you're going through it, just You know, you got to keep your head up. You got to live. You got to try to survive. You got to try to make it, because nobody's giving black men nothing. Nobody's giving no man nothing. But this system allows men, they use men to keep this system afloat in every way, shape, and form. And women use this system, it's weaponized to um, be against men. They use it for financial gain. They use the children as pawns. And I mean, it's just evil. So I just, my heart goes out to this young man in this video. It goes out to all the men who have to deal with bitter baby mamas. And you know, if you're a product of a bitter baby mama, please leave your feedback in the comment section. I have just, you know, processed over years how evil my mom is. And, you know, people are like, oh, you shouldn't treat your mom this way. I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Y'all don't know what I went through. So, you know, you have people trying to tell you how to have a relationship with your mom because she did this. Don't let people try to tell you what to do. Now, I do believe in forgiveness, but with forgiveness, it should be some recompense and should be some healing. And if that hasn't happened, it is very difficult to forgive. And for me, my mom has never apologized. She has never admitted what she's done. She tells alternative versions to stories to make herself look good. Like, she is a habitual liar. And so I don't trust what she says. I don't listen to what she says. And until she just comes right out and say, I'm sorry, but like, we probably ain't gonna never have a relationship. And I've already talked to my siblings about it. And again, I'm the oldest, so they look to me for leadership. But I was like, when it comes to her, I ain't leading nothing. And I mean what I said. Like, women need to understand that you have a lot of power. And a lot of this stuff that you hear on the internet, these men are talking about these women, like, men see, like, a lot of these men that you hear on the internet complaining about women, these men are products of bitter baby mamas. They have seen women weaponize the court system against the dad and against men. They may be products of it, like, or they may have had relatives that have done it, and they've sat around and heard the women talk about how men are treated, or how they plot against these men. Like, we really need to have a discussion about the bitter baby mama. And I think I'm going to do a live about the bitter baby mamas. And it's going to be interesting, because I know a lot of women are like, oh, well, all women are not like that. A significant number of women are bitter baby mamas. I know a whole lot of them that just get babies by men, and then they can't have the men no more. It don't work out once the kids are born, and then they use the court system against the man. And so it is an epidemic, but it is also one of the reasons that people don't want to be married anymore. And I think we need to talk about this, because this situation is not going to get any better. There's no reason for men to get married. There's no reason for men to even want to have children with women, because, you know, nowadays, even without children, women are bitter and angry. And a lot of these women come out of these bitter baby mama relationships, or households. So I think that we should really talk about this.